Hey everyone, James Labrie from Dream Theater, and you're listening to or watching the podcast Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian. Enjoy this. These guys are extremely informative. I love their dialogue. I love their interpretation of the songs, who and what we are, what we were going after. They're very accurate in their interpretations and descriptions, and I just think this is a great show, and these guys are doing a stand-up stellar job. So once again, enjoy Talking into Infinity with JT and Brian.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Talking into Infinity, a Dream Theater-centric podcast. I am your host, John. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, talkingintoinfinity.com, and the cmsnetwork.com. We are live at those four locations every other Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are logged in on YouTube, don't forget to click that like button and click that subscribe button and smash that notification bell so that you are notified every time we go live. If you'd like to catch video replays of the show, just check out our YouTube channel or the YouTube channel of the CMS Network. And if you'd like to download audio versions of the show, just Google Talking into Infinity Podcast. Let me bring on my very good friend and esteemed co-host, Mr. Brian Hendrickson. I call you esteemed, but I think I'm the one that's esteemed right now, considering seconds before we went live, I knocked over my green screen, shattering two incredibly rare shot glasses. The only two on my shelf, by the way. So I was throwing a fit when we locked on. You're like, hey, what's up? And I'm busy dropping expletives like it's my job.
So, what were those shot glasses that broke?
So it was my band Gatlin. We had put out a line of shot glasses, which there was only one run of them. And so you can't get it anymore. So it's gone. So there goes that. I had one of them. And then the other one was a Van Halen shot glass that, God, I got over 20 years ago as a gift, and I can't find that anywhere. So basically irreplaceable stuff. So that was really good on my part. So,
we both had a wonderful evening. I was telling you, we paid $30 to have someone cut the nails on my dog's hind legs. At least that's all we could get. Jill and I both have, like, if one of us ends up murdered tonight, like,
oh wow,
they're gonna blame the other person because, like, you got defensive wounds all over you.
Defensive wounds.
Both of us have these all over our hands. It's like, oh my god, yeah, our dog is he's
a spaz.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, he's up and down, he's down for anything at all. But when he knows it's gonna be his nails, he's like, nope. He's like, literally, like, at one point his mouth was so far open and his incisors, canine incisors, out so wide, it literally looked like the poster for, like, Alien, like coming out, like, the full one where it's like the stuff is oozing out the sweat or whatever secretions are coming out the side, and the full two sets of teeth are out. Like, that's seriously what it looked like. And his eyes, man, it was like black as the devil's eyes. Like,
I thought my dog was bad. She's terrible getting her nails clipped.
Oh
wow.
Man, dude, yeah, this is full blown Cujo, the Omen, you name it.
Well, speaking of omens, hopefully this is a good omen because we got a full chat here. So Chris Moran is checking us. Hey, guys, what's up? How are you? How's the Dream Theater train going? Good to see you, Chris. Motley Crue junkie Kyle tuning in. Good to see you, man. First timer. Hello, guys. Good to see you. Our good friend Chastity checking in. Hello, all. Missed the last month of lives, but finally have a chance to hop on. Good to see you, Chastity, always. And Dan Russell. So what's up, fellas? Hello from Philly, PA area. Oh, Philly! He's got a horse in the race on Sunday for the Super Bowl.
Nice.
All right.
Now, what are your Super Bowl plans?
I don't have any because I really don't give a crap.
Okay.
I mean, I'm rooting for Philly because I'm so sick and tired of Patrick Mahomes. But my uncle lives in Philly. He's a big fan, so I have a rooting interest there. So I'll if they win, I'll be happy. So.
I don't want to tell you that I have people coming over because then you're going to be upset I didn't invite you. But you're not going to drive all the way out here anyway. So
no.
Now that you have your own house, you're never going to leave anyway.
Like, Dad. Yeah, right.
Like, people can come here.
Look at this. All right, Robert Reams is checking in. Good to see you, buddy. Says, what's up, checking in. Sam Mathis, first time live. Glad to be here. Good to see you, Sam. Thanks for tuning in.
Do these
So,
people know what the show is actually about tonight, or is everyone just happen to be on?
I did forget to put a description. I just realized as the video was rolling, I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't put the description in there."
How many are they going to lose once they find out?
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so I was a little rushed. I was busy breaking things before we got live here. So we were supposed to have a special guest host tonight. Our good friend Chris Aiken, who runs the CMS network, was going to jump on with us to do this episode. Unfortunately, he threw his back out. So he is lying in bed and has been for the last 2 days. So he will not be making it. Gibson Les Paul, I haven't seen you in a bit. He says, what's the topic? How the topic is how you're wrong on most of your takes on the show, Gibson. Just stick around. Just kidding. Good to see you, man. So what we are doing tonight is kind of for those of you guys who haven't tuned in before, this is kind of a continuing series of shows that we do. Basically, we pick a year that a Dream Theater album came out, and we figure what would we buy that year if we were not allowed to buy the Dream Theater album. So going in chronological order, we are on 1995. So that, of course, would be the release date, or release year, I should say, of the phenomenal EP, A Change of Seasons. So we each picked 8 albums that we would buy if we walked into the record store and were told, nope, you can't buy A Change of Seasons. So after throwing a complete hissy fit that we weren't able to buy the kick-ass new Dream Theater EP, these are the albums that we chose. So before we get going, you and I were emailing, and you said that you had 2 on your list that you guess that I had on my list.
Correct.
So don't bring those up right off the bat, because I want to get to the end, like the last 2, and see if you got them correct, and then we can discuss those more at length. Because if they're the ones I think that you picked, we've got more comments on those than the others, I would guess.
Okay, so no Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Speaking of that, I would like to start the show off with a factoid. When I was looking up albums, did you know that the band Finger 11, they have of Paralyzer fame, did you know that their original name was Butt Monkeys?
No.
And their debut album came out in 1995 under the moniker Butt Monkeys.
Oh my gosh.
Not that anybody gives a shit about Finger 11. I know I don't, but I just figured I'd bring that.
Well,
so
before we get to the music, I always like to do the movies real quick. There was like a crap load of really good dramas. So we had Dead Man Walking.
Okay.
You saw that, right? Apollo 13.
Oh,
favorite movies.
Me Here Too. Or Me As Well. That was great English on my part.
Me Here Too.
Me Here Too.
As far as I'm concerned, the last good movie Robert De Niro made, Heat. Totally underrated. Great movie. You ever see that?
Yeah, didn't like it at all, but please continue.
Really?
Okay. Yes.
Casino. That's a classic. 7. Love that movie.
Yeah. What's in the box?
Yeah. California, stay away from here. Crimson Tide. I like submarine movies. Did you like that one or no?
I don't think I've seen that one.
Gene Hackman and Denzel Washington. That's good.
Okay.
And like a movie that's like fitting nowadays. It still kind of holds up. Outbreak. That's one of those when it's on. I'm like, I better watch this. I don't know.
I don't think I saw that one either.
Dustin Hoffman, Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, no. I've actually never seen a Dustin Hoffman movie all the way through.
Wow. Okay. Well, I recommend
it's
Outbreak
weird.
if you're looking for one.
Okay.
But but one I did not mention. One of the greatest movies of all time. This is the set behind me.
Oh boy. Okay. Oh, it's Waterworld.
It's Kevin Costner's Waterworld.
I saw that at the drive-in. It was putrid. The most expensive movie ever made at the time, and it was god awful.
That was one of those where you're like, okay, is it going to be as bad as everyone said? And then you wait and watch the video, and you're like, no, it's worse.
Yeah, it's really terrible.
Like the guy who's in like literally the #1 like non-regular TV show, like right now, Yellowstone, did Waterworld. Like,
yeah.
I don't know if you've seen Yellowstone. I love Yellowstone, but
not a fan of that either. I tried, but didn't grab me.
Oh, really? But yeah, Waterworld. So yeah, that's where we were movie wise. But yeah, this one because it was kind of rough, man. Usually we're like, let's get 10, and like we were both like, man, I don't know if I can find 10.
Yeah, I like basically half my list is stuff that I really, really like, and the others are kind of like things that I enjoy. But it's kind of like you get through it in like a full listen because it's the songs are somewhat similar to each other. So we got a few choices in the chat. Gibson Les Paul says Motorhead Sacrifice, easy for me. Dan Russell says 1995. Damn, how about Skid Row Subhuman Race or Van Halen Balance? Both good selections there.
Okay, now I'm mad because Sacrifice did not come up when I was looking at lists, and I actually have that CD and I love it, but it's like did not come up on Metal and Rock one. That's weird.
I don't even look up metal and rock. I just look up albums that are.
Well, I look up like I do that, and then I just do pop. Then I do like I try to do them all because that sort of gives you everything. But that's weird that did not come up.
Okay. Krav is checking in. Says been listening to the podcast for some months now. Thanks for checking it out, man. So what's today's episode about? Well, you're about to find out, Krav, because in a second, Brian is going to give the first of his choices for albums he would buy in 1995 if he was told he cannot buy A Change of Seasons. So did you rank, first of all, real quick, before you get to your first choice, did you rank yours again? Because I don't.
They're not really. I kind of put the top ones at the top, and I'm thinking those might be yours too. So I'll save those till the end. I ended up with one more. I have 9, so
okay, that's
ended
fine.
up with one I couldn't leave us. So I'll put so number 9. If you want me to start out,
Yeah.
White Zombie, Astro Creep 2000.
Okay.
This was the record that just totally, I think, launched Rob Zombie's career through the roof. He was coming off of the Sexorcisto, and that was huge. But this is the one that I think got him to sort of borderline arena, stadium level, festivals, all that kind of thing. And starts out with Electric Head. It's got all those great chugging kind of riffs, and the cool little sci-fi things in there. Of course, the big single, More Human Than Human. I mean, how can you not love it? Like his like his song titles are just ridiculous. Blood, Milk, and Sky, Grease, Pain, and Monkey Brains. I mean, it's like I forgot what's the one, Phantasmo and the Chicken Run something. I forgot what it's Blast Off. I think it's called. Like it's just I don't even know where he comes up with this stuff. It's like does he just drop acid and start doing it, or what, or come up with these songs?
That's what I was thinking. I mean, like that new record of his is like it's got that ungodly long title and all those.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what are you doing? It's almost like he just picks a whole bunch of words that he likes, like 100 of them, puts them in a pile and throws them up, and where they land is what the song title is.
So like the only thing I will say that was a little weird about this year too, probably on about half of my list. Like these are good albums, but by the time I get 2/3 of the way through, I'm kind of done. You know what I mean? And I think that's more of a taste thing. Like, Rob Zombie and White Zombie is kind of I don't want to say one trick pony, but they have a definite thing that they do. And it's like, okay, once I get 7, 8 songs of it, personally, I don't need 12, 13, 14.
Yeah.
And that's what I came up with a lot of stuff on this list.
I kind of have the same thing. I'm glad that you mentioned that because the ones that I like are not like the ones I'm like, I blast these all the time. Like it's kind of like that. Like there's a tinge of repetition in there. Beginning with the first one on my list. Again, I'm saving my top 2 for last, but I have an album that was released on Valentine's Day of 1995. It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere by Slash's Snake Pit. Slash's first solo album, and it's it's definitely a blues influenced album. A lot of the slow kind of groovy things that he still has in his repertoire, but he doesn't do it nearly as much. Now he's much more straight ahead rock, I think. This one was very like dirty blues and kind of southern bayou sounding at times. And I really like it. I'm a huge fan of Slash. I love his playing. I've seen him live many times and he never disappoints. There's some great songs on here. Dime Store Rock is a good one. What Do You Want to Be? Soma City Ward is cool. I've always been a huge fan of Beggars and Hangers On. That was like the main single from the record, and that song kicks ass. Which is weird because I don't usually like the jangly slide guitar, but there's a lot of that in here. And I think I can safely say that it's the only song that I like that features slide guitar. So, but I think the other thing about this to me is that it's got great production, especially for 1995. Like it's just a raw but clean, just hard guitar rock production, and it sounds fantastic. It's a great sounding record. So, it's 5 O'Clock Somewhere by Slash's Snake Pit. Are you familiar with it at all?
I am. I cannot believe you actually like the singer on that album. I cannot get past So they went and took the guitar player, if I remember this right, from Jellyfish. Isn't he the singer? If I'm like 99%
you may be right.
sure that's right. So they didn't get the singer from Jellyfish because that would never fit what Slash does. I understand that.
Yeah.
But this is one of those I went back to a few times, and I don't know. I just something about the guy's voice just never grabbed me.
I kind of like it. He's basically screaming.
Yeah.
And I kind of dig it. So I don't mind it. So it's definitely not, I would say, on par with Miles Kennedy or Slash Axl Rose to be sure, but I think it's cool, and he kind of fits the music and everything. It's just a dirty vibe. It's a dirty record. I like it.
Now, did you get this like right out of the gate, or was it a few years afterwards? Or
no, I got it right out of the gate. Okay. It's not my favorite. I mean, if I had to pick a Slash record, it would probably be either Apocalyptic Love or World on Fire. But I mean, this is good, especially again if you're into the more blues side of things. Then man, we got a lot of choices here in the chat. So we have Robert Reams says Bone Thugs and Harmony, East 1999 Eternal. I would argue their best album. Gibson Les Paul, Gamma Ray, Land of the Free. Dan Russell says I forgot Ultraphobic by Warrant, the last release by them with Jani Lane, an often overlooked singer and songwriter. Gibson Les Paul also says Blind Guardian, Imaginations from the Other Side, my favorite band. Travis Snyder says 2 good albums so far, not great, but good. Rough year, LOL. Well, you never know, man. It might get better, Travis. So just, you'll stick with us here. We still have plenty to go. So
talk about that Warrant album for a second. I've heard a lot about like some of these other later Warrant albums and check them out. And I tried and I don't know. I don't get it.
It's good. I was never like a huge Warrant guy. Everybody says that Jani Lane is this brilliant song. All my friends that knew, like a lot of my friends knew him, and like he's a great songwriter. Like everyone talks about Mr. Rainmaker or whatever. I'm like, okay, it's good.
Right.
I don't hear brilliance, but I mean it's good. I mean Ultraphobic was the more grungy one, if I remember right. I mean it's cool. Yeah. That's not my cup of tea, but Cale McLeish with our first mistake of the evening.
I was gonna say that there's no way that's correct. We would have had that in there.
Yeah, he says I'll go Megadeth, Euthanasia. No, I'm sorry, Cale. That was on 1994, but you were close, but you were off by 1 year there, man. So,
well, Australia is always like 1 year behind, though.
Right? The toilets flushed the wrong way and everything. Cale's in a Megadeth mindset anyway. He got tickets to go see him, and they're the last of the big 4 that he hasn't seen. So,
okay.
So he's pumped up for that. All right. So what do you have next on your list?
I have a band that probably no one's heard of. We'll see. It's called Teenage Fan Club. They have roughly 9, 10-ish albums. This is, I believe, album number 3 or 4. There was about a 3-album swing in the 90s. They're from Scotland. And it's what some people call like shoegazing music, I guess. They used to call it power pop. It's like very 60s-ish with these harmonies layered upon layer, but everything's really kind of slow and mid-tempo and sort of acidy. It's almost like if you took a classic 60s band like the Byrds or Everly Brothers or Badfinger, and they were all just completely on acid, and you turned up their amplifiers, to get a nice fuzz in there, I don't know. I love it. It's just really, it's almost like a dark Beach Boys, I guess, if you will, like a dark, heavy, jangly type Beach Boys. And they just have some cool fun. Like every song is usually like 3.5 minutes, they got, just big giant melodies, and be one of those bands. If I ever got a chance to see them, I'd jump at it.
So how did you discover a dark Beach Boys sounding band?
I believe, I'm trying to think, one of my roommates, I think, had their previous album somehow, and I was like, man, what is this? This is really good. And then the next 2 they came out with, it's one of those bands that came out with like 3 albums in 4 years, like, which is kind of, they don't really do that sort of stuff anymore, most bands. And I just, every time a new one came out, I was like, whoa, this is really cool,
Okay.
And I think, what was the old, was it 92.3? That used to be the end, the alternative station. They might have got a song or 2 on there.
Okay.
I can never remember. No, it was 107.9.
Yeah, I was going to say 107.9.
Right, 107.9 was
92.3 was Extreme Radio. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
So they got 1 or 2 songs on there. But yeah, just I don't know. there's a really cool song called Metal Baby on one of their other albums, and it's like it's basically about just taking this chick to a heavy metal concert, but he's singing in this slow, like super kind of boring, annoying sort of a voice. You know, if you hate this kind of music, but I think it's brilliant to me.
Okay. Kale McLeish says, Brian, dark, heavy, jangly Beach Boys. My brain, I cannot comprehend this. So for my next choice, I'm going about as far away from shoegazing dark Beach Boys as you can get, and I'm going to catch all manner of hell for this one. But this is a band that's kind of like, I don't like all their stuff, so don't get me wrong, but I love the guy's singing voice, and he is known as a pretty damn good songwriter. He's got several hits to his credit, not only with his own band, but with other bands. This record was released on March 14th of 1995. I have A Boy Named Goo by the Goo Goo Dolls. It's about the poppiest thing I listen to, pretty much. I will say that I like half the record. I do not like the bass player's singing voice because he sings a bunch of the songs, and I just do not like his voice at all.
The punk Stephen Pearcy.
Oh, I mean, literally, like every time I hear his voice come in with the first verse, I just hit skip.
Yeah.
So it's not, but I mean, the other songs, like, I think that they're catchy, man. Like, it's kind of like a up-tempo poppy rock record, I mean, it's obviously got the huge hit Name on there. Which that's, a guilty pleasure song for me. But, I mean, Long Way Down is a great opener. And it kind of like sets the tone for the rest of the record. It's just, like I say, it's just upbeat and happy and bouncy and stuff like that. Just simple pop rock. And, there's a song called Ain't That Unusual that I like. Long Way Down is a good one. Again, it's not something I go to a lot, but if I'm on like a decent length road trip and I've been listening to a lot of metal, it's kind of like a good thing to listen to, to kind of cleanse the palate a little bit. I mean, being honest, I like the record after it better, the one with Iris and stuff on there, and Black Balloon. Yep. But that one's like slowed down a little bit, and I think that's why I kind of like it. But all right, we do have some more. Man, you guys in the chat are kicking ass tonight.
Real quick for that, I actually do have that on my list.
A Boy Named Goo, you've got that on your list.
I love this album, man. It's,
really? Okay.
I discovered them on their album before this. I think it was called Car Wash. They had a song called oh God, of course I can't think of it right now. But anyway, Fall Down it was called. But Boy Named Goo, man, Naked, great song. Ain't That Unusual. I was gonna say that one's great. I love Eyes Wide Open. I think that's a great song. And, I said Naked, that was a single too. And Personality, only one. Yeah, you're right though. That's the singer when the bass player sings, it's a little, I mean, I get why Johnny does it. It's like it's his best buddy and he gives him a break and he thinks it's their chance to sort of go punk, which is what he always kind of wants to be, but he's too pop punk, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
I agree. Dizzy Up the Girl is a great album too. But yeah, Boy Named Goo, man, that's a good sounding record.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's a nice, easy, light listen, man.
Yep.
Motley Crue junkie Kyle, he really is a junkie. He mentioned Taiketo Shine. He says Kicks Show Business. Gibson Les Paul's got King Diamond, The Spider's Lullaby. Kyle has Slaughter's Fear No Evil. Let's see. Gibson Les Paul's got a few. Motorhead, Gamma Ray, Blind Guardian, and King Diamond all released Killers in 95. Damn. Chad Stevermer, hopefully I'm not butchering that. Good to see you, man. He says Porcupine Tree, The Sky Moves Sideways, and Death Symbolic. You don't need any others. I think we can combat that. He also said Thrack by King Crimson as well. And Dan Russell brings up Dokken Dysfunctional, which is a fitting name for that drama-filled band back then, still today. Not a great album, but a couple of good songs. I had that one on my list for a second, Dan, but because I love the original Dokken stuff, and some of the recent records have some good classic-sounding stuff on there. But, man, Dysfunctional, I just was not... it had some cool riffs and stuff because it was, the drop tune record was heavy, but, Joseph Friend, Discuss Metal Joe Nice. He says, mess with your friends. Start a playlist with Ain't That Unusual followed by It's Not Unusual. Let the fun begin. Nice. Okay, since you just brought up A Boy Named Goo, I'll go to the third one on my list. We'll see if you have this one. This one was released on June 13th of 1995, and it could be a tad repetitious, I suppose, but I had forgotten how vicious this album is. And when I went back and listened to it today, it was kind of one of those, damn, I need to start listening to this again. Demanufacture by Fear Factory. It's just like, I mean, the opening track, Demanufacture, is just brutal. Self-Bias Resistor is cool because it's got like that. They had those really unique kind of like the choruses with like the kind of like choral stuff. It sounds like the evil choral stuff behind it. So that's got that. Replica's the song that got me hooked because I forget where I heard it, but I was like, what the hell is that? And then I went and checked out the record and was like, holy shit. And then there's a tune called Body Hammer that's like it's like a slow groove, and then the chorus kicks in, which is awesome, and then the song Flashpoints. It's just a great record, and I've listened to other Fear Factory albums as a result, and I still can't get past Demanufacture as my favorite one. So I just love the kind of like, I don't know, it's weird, like, and I don't know much about Slipknot, but I heard definitely some parts of this record where I'm like, okay, I can hear where Slipknot got pulled a little bit of influence from. So, with like the percussion elements and things like that. So, I have Demanufacture. Is that on your list?
That is on my list. I can't believe
wow,
it's
man.
yours. That's kind of floors me.
That's crazy.
But
all right, so what do you got? What do you got for Demanufacture?
Yeah, man. I love, like you said, they throw a little bit of those keyboards in there, and they, drench his vocals in some chorus and delay and reverb and soak that thing up, and put all those effects on, and it's just killer, man. I mean, is there a single guitar solo on this thing? I don't think so.
No.
I mean, do they even play anything like short of like any riff that goes more than like maybe seven notes or like
right.
3 repetitions or something? But man, I totally agree too. Like, like Self-Bias Resistor, Zero Signal, Replica. I mean, that 3 song, that opening 4 songs, even in the New Breed. Body Hammer's cool. I like, what's it? HK Hunter Killer. I like that too.
Yeah.
One of those bands too, like you're saying, like, I tried to get into other albums, and if I can find 1 or 2 songs, that's about it. Like, to me, Fear Factory, if I want to see them live, I need like 55 minutes, tops. Give me like 3/4 of Demanufacture, and throw in whatever's off the newest album. Whatever. Right. They have a song, I can't remember the name. It was from a movie, I think. I think it was from the remake of Blade Runner. I think they have a song in there that's pretty cool. At least it's in the video.
Okay.
It's like it's almost like a ballad, which is weird. But yeah, I mean, one of those bands that, like, this is a defining sound record. Like, there's no other album out there that sounds like this, like those super compressed guitars, and like there's obviously triggers or something on those drums, but they sound killer where they are. Like, I love that electric yet still crushing, heavy industrial type feel to it. But awesome album, man.
Yep. All right, so what do you have next on your list, since I keep picking things that you already have?
Let's see, what am I going? I'll go with a band that I guess is probably no one's ever in the middle on this. It's love them or hate them. It's Oasis. What's the story? Morning Glory.
I didn't see that one on the list I pulled up. Okay. I have to admit, I like a few songs, even though the brothers are total dickheads.
Yeah,
I saw that documentary on them, and it was really good. So it actually inspired me to check out some of their stuff, and it was cool. So all right, what's the story? Morning Glory. Is that the first one, or is that the second one?
So this has Wonderwall and Champagne Supernova. So I think this is the second one. So I think the first one has this has Don't Look Back in Anger. So this is the first hit one with these bands. I never know if they had other ones that we didn't hear about, like Green Day had albums before Dookie and stuff.
Okay.
But I mean, Wonderwall, Champagne Supernova. I love the song Morning Glory. Like, I don't know, the way those guitars just scream out in there. It's so badass. Like, this really is, when they turn on like the rock, like the sort of like the Satanic Stones, I guess I call them, Satanic Stones Beatles thing. Right. Like, there really is a heaviness to it and a bit of a darkness to it, but I love it, man. I mean, this band is tailor-made for like Great Britain, because these guys absolutely can't stand each other, yet they sell out stadiums worldwide, and it makes for like great, press, like, you know, especially back then when the internet was just kind of in its infancy, like it was all over any Rolling Stone or any magazine. All these two guys can't stand each other. And I'll never forget, there was a famous Rolling Stone interview with the two brothers. And after like hearing them talk for like 20 minutes, one guy was like, do you guys ever get tired of your own bullshit? The guy just said, like, it's been 20 minutes of this nonstop. You guys just destroying each other, and like not really in a fun way, you know. But yeah, I love this. I can't remember. It's Liam. Liam is the singer. I get him mixed up. Noel's the guitar player, but Liam Gallagher. Something about his voice. It's that whiny nasal pop voice, but man, it just floats right above those chords that they spit out on these songs. It's like a clinic in songwriting, man. And it's, you know, super Beatlesy and just great song crafted.
Yeah. I'm not like a huge fan of Oasis, but they are, you know, I mean, you can't deny their success, and the songs, I mean, stand on their own. So like I say, I got into some of it because of the documentary. So I definitely agree with you on his voice too. So, all right. So next on my list, is an album that was released on July 18th of 1995, and it's kind of a compilation record. But one of my favorite bands, Hidden Treasures by Megadeth. It is really strong. I don't really care about the No More Mr. Nice Guy. I mean, it's cool. The last two songs, what is it? Problems and Diadems, or however you pronounce that. But the rest of it is killer, man. Breakpoint, Go to Hell, Angry Again, 99 Ways to Die, and Paranoid. Like, Megadeth is one of those bands for me that, like, you know, like when you go to get a movie soundtrack and it's got like bands that you like, you kind of get the throwaway songs. And you're like, this is okay. Megadeth is not like that to me. Like, there are a lot of soundtrack songs that Megadeth has done that I'm like, holy shit. And, you know, like Go to Hell is just incredible. I mean, I love the video where it's got like the triple split screen of them, of, you know, one's the bass guitar neck, and then the other two are the guitar necks and stuff. That's awesome. And it's just a really kick-ass tune. Angry Again is one of my all-time favorite Megadeth tunes ever. So, and 99 Ways to Die, I think, is like one of the most underrated Megadeth songs ever. I love that one. And that one's from the Beavis and Butthead Do America soundtrack. And that song just rules. And, you know, obviously Paranoid has that famous thing at the end, like, Nick, fuck me running. Like, so that's always cool. But, yeah, I mean, even though it's, you know, a collection of B-sides or whatever, or soundtrack songs or whatever you want, however you want to phrase it, I love this album. I listen to it all the time. So I'm a huge fan of that. And unfortunately, Kale, like I say, was off by 1 year, but he did mention this earlier in the chat. So Kale was on with this one. So yeah, I've got Hidden Treasures by Megadeth. Please tell me you didn't have this one.
I did not. You know what I appreciate about Megadeth? They know how to cover a song. Like every time they do a cover, like These Boots, I mean, that's brilliant.
Yep.
The cover of Anarchy is awesome. No More Mr. Nice Guy is great. The newest album has a cover of there's a Sammy Hagar song on there. And
there's two of them.
Yeah,
they got that Sex Pistols piece. I can't talk today.
No, it's a Dead Kennedys.
Dead Kennedys. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's a real, like, I'm not gonna lie and pretend I ever knew anything about them. I mean, I heard them, I heard the song, but I don't know, just the way Dave does it sounds awesome. Like, I don't know, he just chunks up that guitar. You know, he turns a punk song into a metal song, you know, without you knowing it. You know what I mean? Like, he just has a way of being able to do that.
Yeah. And the Sammy cover's great.
Yeah, that's good too. I've never heard
World's on Fire,
song, but it sounds awesome what he does.
And he's got Sammy Hagar singing on it. Like, I'm like, holy crap! Would you have ever thought you'd have seen Sammy Hagar singing with Megadeth? Like, that is just wow. So, all right. So, what do you have next on your list?
I have 1995's, I believe it's the fourth album from this band, Cathedral.
Oh, okay. I am familiar with Cathedral.
Yeah, this was their album called The Carnival Bazaar, and they are sludge doom, I guess is the best way to put it. I mean, it's pretty much Black Sabbath sounding to a T almost. I mean, but I mean, I love the riffs. The only thing with this band, the singer, I think his name's Lee Dorian, you know, it's not a voice for everybody, so you can either tolerate it or you can't, you know.
Right.
But I think for what it is, it's awesome. I mean, it starts out with Vampire Sun, and then this is kind of their hit, was Hopkins the Witchfinder General, which is actually it starts out with a sound clip from Vincent Price. It's one of his it's a 1968 movie. It was called Matthew Hopkins Witchfinder General, but they changed it to Matthew Hopkins Conquer Worm, I guess, if you're looking for the US version. But you know how he was in all those great, British horror type movies like that.
Yeah.
Cool song called Utopian Blaster. I don't know, there's just a lot of great heavy riffs in there. Kind of another one of those, like, this one's, let's see, what did it say? It's 10 songs, an hour and 2 minutes. I probably only need about 6 or 7 of these, but I really love the sound of this band because, yeah, it's super Sabbath inspired, but it's their own spin on it. And it's just heavy and it's fun and it grooves.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not overly familiar with Cathedral, but I mean, the stuff I've heard is like, it's cool. Like you said, it's sludgy, it's heavy, it's, kind of doom-ish to my ear, but it's cool. Again, it's not a band that I'm overly familiar with. So,
wait, discuss Metal Joe. Did Brian pick Short Bus yet? No, I did not. That, to me, that falls into one of those, I don't know, kind of a one-trick pony. I don't know about that as an album. Like, you got Nice Shot as a single, and I just don't really know about it as an album personally.
Is that Filter?
That's Filter, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, again, I'm not familiar. This was where I started just going that, like, I was belligerent about grunge. I was like, damn it, if it's not metal, piss off. I was tired of watching these guys that couldn't play worth a damn, like, earning millions of dollars while guys that could shred and kick ass were just, like, languishing. It was driving me crazy. Speaking of bands that were languishing, Brian, this was the beginning of a languishing period for this band. It was released on October 2nd of 1995, and definitely an outlier in their catalog. One of only two. I have X Factor by Iron Maiden. And
how do I mute you exactly here?
Well, let me start by saying it's not a great album.
Okay.
There's some songs that I like. Man on the Edge is kind of cool. The Aftermath I liked. 2 a.m. It's like, there's some stuff that I like, and I like the music. I like the music on it. It's like, it's slower. It's definitely a slower record, which I think was kind of a mistake. If you're gonna come out with a new singer first, you got to come out with all guns blazing, I think. The lyrics are pretty dumb in spots. I don't like Blaze Bayley's rhythmic choices a lot because he does that thing where he just follows the rhythm of the guitar or the drums exactly, and I've always hated when singers do that. And in his verses especially, like, he has a distinct lack of melody. And it really set him apart from Bruce Dickinson to me, because Dickinson, you could, like, sing the verses, and Blaze, you can't really do that. And then a lot of the songs he's in his low register, which I get is, like, comfortable for him, but you could hear right away why Maiden fans are like, what the hell is this? Like, it wasn't the soaring vocals of Bruce Dickinson, it wasn't the up tempo, like, Be Quick or Be Dead type stuff. I mean, there's a couple songs like that, but and honestly, the songs are too drawn out. So some of these intros are like 3 minutes long of, like, pretty much nothing happening. So there's a lot of fat you could, chew off of this record. But that being said, I think it's an interesting sounding Maiden record. They do some things that are, for them, they kind of go off of the, the CDE thing that they, are so famous for. And it's got some cool stuff to it. I mean, again, the lyrics are pretty dumb. I mean, Man on the Edge is just about that movie, Man on the Edge.
Yep.
Like, so it's just, not great, but I enjoy it. It was not as bad as I thought it would be, I guess. Is after the Bruce Dickinson stuff, I thought it could have been worse, and so it was enjoyable in parts. Not great, but I definitely would have picked it over a whole lot of other crap that was released in 1995. So,
well, this has been my problem with Maiden for almost every album going back this far. Is, like you said, there's 2 and 3 minutes of the same riff that's not good enough to go 3 minutes. And then you still got another 4 minutes of the song left. And
well, yeah, it's like, I'm glad you said that, because lately their albums have these like 10-minute songs, and it's like,
yep.
They've got these 10-minute songs, and there's no need for that. They don't, like, a Dream Theater song goes, like, in 8 different directions. A 10-minute Iron Maiden song is like, hey, we've got this 30-second intro, let's play it for 4 minutes. Like, it's unnecessary. So I can't the late this newer Maiden stuff is just not. I like when they get back to writing more concise things. And
I think the first song, "Sign of the Cross," isn't that the only Blaze one that Bruce ever did live? If I'm not mistaken, I think there's only one.
I read that. Yeah, I read that.
I'm interested to I never have checked that out. I'm interested to go check that out at some point. See.
Yeah, speaking of songs that take way too long to get into, that's one of them. Gibson Les Paul says, "I'm telling you, Yngwie Malmsteen magnum opus is a beast of an album. 95 was a great year. I can't root for Yngwie Malmsteen on anything because he's such a prick." Discuss Metal Joe says, "Scratch out your number one choice and write in Mr. Bungle, Disco Volante, because Jeff said so." I am not a Mr. Bungle fan by any stretch of the imagination. I can't stand that. Mike Patton is one of those guys that is like weird for the sake of being weird, and I hate that shit. I hate it. I'm not a fan.
I think there's some very cool Faith No More stuff. The Mr. Bungle stuff, yeah, it's I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of drunk frat guys like, oh, we got some really cool recording stuff. Let's just make silly things,
Yeah.
which that's fine. I don't care if you want to do it, but don't go around telling everyone how, making everyone think it's amazing when it's really not.
Yeah, this sucks.
Right.
All right, so what do you have next on your list? I've got 3 left.
Oh my God, I feel like I'm burning through my list here. You have 3? I guess. Oh, that's right. So we ended up crossing over on a couple. All right, I'm going to go with the last album to feature Sebastian Bach in this band, Subhuman Race.
Okay. I was wondering if you were going to have that one.
Yeah, I think this is a very overlooked and very underrated album. There's just some killer tunes. It starts off with My Enemy. Beat Yourself Blind is great. Subhuman Race, the title track, is so just brutal with double bass heaviness. Frozen is super, super cool guitar riff. Into Another is a little bit of a kind of ballady type thing. And towards the end, we end up with the song Breaking Down, which shows up in the credits of one of the most underrated movies of all time, The Prophecy. Christopher Walken. Love that movie.
Okay.
I don't know if you're a fan of The Prophecy or Prophecy 2. I think there's 3 of them they ended up doing. Yeah, man. I mean, Bach just sounds amazing on this. This tone is great. The guitars are there, the riffs are there, most of the big choruses are there. It's heavier. I think it's better than Slave to the Grind. I wasn't a huge Slave to the Grind fan. I liked maybe a third of it, whereas Subhuman Race I probably like closer to 3/4 of this album. Just in terms of how strong it is. And it's crazy to think that it's been that long since, he was basically in the band, I guess. I don't know how long he toured on that, or if they were even touring at that point, if they just made this and maybe toured once and were done with him or what. But I've tried to get into like some of the stuff they did with Solinger since. I listened to it. I don't know, just something's not there for me. And this new album, this new album they put out last year with the singer from Heat, and it ended up on everyone's top 10. It's so great, and I'm like, The Gang's All Here. I mean, that's the stupidest title.
Yes.
I mean, it sounds like that's something Archie Bunker said, or somebody says in a bar in 1965 after they get done working in the auto factory. Hey, everybody, the gang's all here. Like, that's not a title for a Skid Row album. Come on, or a song.
That's a title for like a Casey and the Sunshine Band album.
Yeah,
like Kool and the Gang. The gang's all here. Okay, cool. Yeah, Skid Row. You're thinking exactly like Subhuman Race, Slave to the Grind. Not the gang's all here.
Yeah, I was like, I heard that, and I'm like, wait, you guys went out and got this singer who's an amazing singer. I mean, the guy fits the band, I think. But again, it's like, it's one of those things. Like, do these guys have? I don't know if they have any more great guitar riffs in them. And then when they came up with that song title and the album title, I'm like, this is really stupid. I'm sorry. And I don't want to be the get off my lawn old guy. Oh, the new stuff, because I want to like it. That's the thing. I don't just, but I don't know. I tried digging into it. But yeah, Subhuman Race, man. If you've ever, I'm not sure how familiar you are with it, but man, that's a good one to dig into.
Yeah, it's cool. It's kind of equal to. It's kind of equal to Slave to the Grind for me because, I think that I don't know. I'm kind of with you on Slave to the Grind, because Slave to the Grind to me was kind of like a Sebastian Bach "Look What I Can Do" album. Like, there weren't a lot of hooks. It was just him going, yeah, like screaming the entire time. Like, man, oh man, like I wanted some more hooks, and Subhuman Race definitely had that. So they're kind of similar to me, I think. I think I like the production a little bit better on Slave to the Grind, to be honest. But Subhuman Race is a good record, man. It just did not make my list. Adrian Schaller said, sorry I'm late, but if you're talking about great 1995 albums, the self-titled Alice in Chains. Well, funny story there, Adrian. My next record was released on November 7th of 1995, and it just so happens to be the self-titled Alice in Chains record. I'm a big Alice in Chains guy. Ironically, my favorite Alice in Chains record is the first one with William Duvall. Blue Gives Way to Black, or Black Gives Way to Blue, or whatever the hell it is. Yeah, I don't know why. I just think it's the most solid, front to back. But I love the Lane Staley era because it's especially Dirt and like the EPs and this one, the self-titled record, because it just has this dark, like, kind of like sludgy, like you feel kind of dirty listening to it, because Lane Staley flat came out and said, yeah, I'm a junkie and I like being a junkie. So he sings these songs like about being a junkie, and then he has these weird lyrics and stuff. But I think he's a great lyricist. And as weird as some of the songs can get, I mean, I love the variety on these albums, yet it's still accessible. Grind is a great song, obviously. I love that tune, Sludge Factory.
Yep.
That one's good. Heaven Beside You. God Am is cool. It's like a kind of FU letter to God almost. Over Now is a good one. I love like I said, I love the variety on the Alice in Chains records, especially like Dirt, and the self-titled one is the perfect example. I mean, you'll have stuff like Sludge Factory and Frogs, and then you'll go to Heaven Beside You. Like, they're just all over the place. And again, there's just this aura around them, and it's probably due to how much we know about Lane Staley and how what a disaster he was. But it's great stuff, man. And so I really, really like the self-titled record. So that is next on my list before I get to my top two. So do you have Alice in Chains on your list?
I do not. I think I'm down to my top two.
Nice.
Because we ended up crossing over on some. But yeah,
Okay.
I love that song. I had this theory on. So, what are your thoughts on the Jerry Cantrell stuff? Because I thought the last album was amazing.
I actually haven't listened to very much of it at all. I tried listening to Boggy Depot, and I wasn't really into it. I keep meaning to listen to the most recent one because one of my best buddies, Nick, he's a huge Cantrell fan. He says it's great, just like you just did. So I will have to check that out, but I haven't listened to it yet.
Yeah, it's like the evil Tom Petty. I think that's what he said. It's sort of turned into the evil Tom Petty, man. It's like this sort of whiskey dark blues metal thing, but they're these folk tunes, and they still got all the Alice in Chains harmonies kind of layered in there. And there's just enough heaviness and darkness, and even though they're sort of acoustic based. But yeah, I love the Cantrell stuff. Yeah, we always called this album what the tripod. I think is what a lot of people call it.
Tripod, the dog album. Yeah.
The dog. But yeah, like I said, Grind, Sludge Factory. I mean, I love the song again too. Yeah, I mean it's another one of those too, though. It's like 12 songs an hour. Like Alice in Chains, man, you're like exhausted when time you get to the end of one of their albums.
Yeah.
It's like you just did beat over the head with a lot of really dark, overtones and messages and stuff, and you're like, man, I better not be sitting down here and like doing acid or drinking while listening to this, because
Right.
I could end up like in a hospital or something.
Right. Well, I tell you, what gets me through this record a lot is, I mean, the vocal harmonies are just so unbelievably layered, and it's Lane Staley just going to town. 4-part harmonies all over the place. It's just so lush. And the guy was brilliant in terms of writing those things, because he was the one that put all the vocal harmonies together. And
really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, dude, it's like there's a biography about them out there. It's a little dry, but it's very informative. It's got a ton of information in it, and there's a lot of stuff about him you really wouldn't have known. And that's one of them that he put all that stuff together, and it's like, wow, okay. I thought that was Cantrell, but it was not. All right, so we both have 2 left, and I'm going to go first to see if ours are the same, because you thought we had the same, and you guessed what my 2 top ones would be. So if I could only buy 2 records in 1995, this would be my second place album, and it was released on October 24th of 1995, and it is the single most underrated record by this band and one of the most criminally underrated metal records ever, in my opinion. I have Stomp 442 by Anthrax. No one ever talks about this record, and I don't know why. I get that it's a departure from the classic Joey Belladonna stuff and even from, Sound of White Noise, but this record just absolutely rocks. Like to the point where if you played people videos of Anthrax on mute and they didn't know who Anthrax was, and you looked at their stage presence, like specifically like Scott Ian and Frankie Bello and stuff like that, and you said, I wonder what the music sounds like. I think that the stuff on Stomp is what you would picture. The way he does, like, the stomping around in a circle and everything, and just headbang and everything. This sounds like pissed off Anthrax, and I have always loved this record, man. Like, and when it came out, I saw them live, and they barely touched this album for that tour. I was so pissed. I was like, "What are you doing? Like, come on, man! Like, this record jams." And so many more people mentioned the album after it, Volume 8, which I'm just, like, for me, it's the one bad Anthrax album. It's got 3 songs I like, and the rest is not good. The production is terrible, and it's just not a good Anthrax record. And to me, Stomp is just, it was so, unfortunately, it came out, they got signed to Elektra, and then they put this one out right as, Elektra was basically deciding to dump all of their hard rock and metal stuff. So the album got absolutely buried, which is an unbelievable shame. So, I mean, dude, so many great songs. Fuel's on here, Riding Shotgun, In a Zone, American Pompeii. Nothing is like the straightforward one, and that rocks hard. And it was just, God, I love this record, man. John Bush is just screaming his nuts off, and it's like a simplified freight train version of Anthrax, and I love it. So do you have Stomp 442 in your top 2?
I do, and
yes,
I don't even know if I knew this came out until almost 2 years later. That's how buried it was.
Really?
And the same with Volume 8, I think. Like I think that had already come out, and I was like, oh, they have a new one. Then all of a sudden I looked and like, wait, not 442. Yeah, that was, nobody knew this was out. It was horribly marketed. It was nowhere, because there was a record store over here in Cleveland. Actually, it was in Euclid where I used to live, and this guy got everything new in rock metal, and that was never in there. So I don't even know if he knew that it was out or if they ever even gave it to him to sell.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know how John Bush could like physically talk after doing his album.
Yeah.
I mean, Fueled, King Size. I love that. The Devil Lives in California.
Yes.
It's like I don't know that there's a ton of memorable guitar riffs, but the way that Bush can take almost anything and like, yeah, I'll figure out a melody to do on that. And it's nothing amazing. But we've said before, that's the stuff that's hard to do. It's sort of a simple hook that that sort of gets you in. You're like, oh, now I'm singing this later. Like, I'm always singing that part, The Devil Is in California. But yeah, Riding Shotgun, man, those squawky, they got the slide guitars in the beginning and stuff.
Oh, the Dimebag part?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is the first appearance of Dimebag on an Anthrax record.
Oh, okay, I did not even know he's playing on that.
Yeah, he played I know he played, was it, I thought it was 2 songs. Let me look it up here while you talk about it.
Because he's on We've Come For You All.
Yeah, he's no. I know for a fact he was on this one because Dan Spitz had quit.
Okay. Well, yeah, this would be the one he's on in, because it sounds like squawky, sloppy, dirty, grimy, like kind of guitar playing that starts that out.
Okay, so I was right. It was 2. It's Fueled and King Size.
Oh, okay.
Wait, no, not King Size. No, that's bullcrap.
Riding Shotgun is the one
It's Riding Shotgun. Yeah, this idiot here has
might be wrong.
king size. No, and I don't think it's fueled either.
Huh.
I don't think that's right. Yeah. Oh, it says 4. Okay, Riding Shotgun, Inside Out, Strap It On, and Cadillac Rock Box. Yeah, that's correct. Okay, so it's just the one song. I knew he played two on
Come For You All.
We've Come For You All. But anyway, so Riding Shotgun, that's him. And you could totally tell too. I mean, if you just put on the record, say, all right, you have to tell me exactly where you hear Dimebag Darrell. Like it's definitely in that intro to.
Yeah, you
Riding
mentioned
Shotgun.
American Pompeii, man. He is just
Yep.
flat out belt American Pompeii. Like, I don't know how many times he says it. I mean, and the thing about like John Bush, like, man, he spits out 3 times the amount of lyrics that most singers do. You know what I mean? He's like he's a brash poet or something, I guess is his best way of saying, and they're always cool. Like I told you before, like the last 2 Armored Saint albums, I think is absolutely brilliant. I mean, he's got the same kind of vocal style and very musically, it's not quite like this. It's a more traditional sort of a heavy thing, but this album has a groove, and I think what people miss the most in certain rock and certain metal things is there needs to be a groove to it. And like there's like you can borderline, it's gonna sound stupid, like you can almost, I don't want to say you can dance to it, but it's like, I don't know, you can just sort of feel yourself moving. There's just a certain way that Benante plays, and I don't know that he plays that way all the time on all the albums. I think he's really good at sort of mixing in styles, but there's something about literally like you said, like a stomp groove on this.
Yeah.
And you're just banging your head and you're just kind of want to just sort of mosh around yeah, man, this is just a relentless, it's over an hour also, I think. It's just a relentless slam you upside the head. Like, like you said, it's criminally underrated. And I don't know why. I guess, like you said, because they were at the end of the deal with Elektra or whatever.
Yeah, and a lot of people, it is a departure, and it never got a lot of run, and so people don't know it very well. But it's such a good record. And I mean, you mentioned American Pompeii, and I'll get to my number 1. But I mean, I love the key change at the end of that, where it goes to the low. Like it just gets even heavier. Yeah. I remember the first time I played that record, I was like, "What the hell, man!" Like that is. I mean, there's a couple moments like that on this album that are just like the heaviest Anthrax you could get, and it's so good. This album deserves so much more love than it gets. All righty, well, let me get to my number 1, and let's see if you have this. I hope you do, because obviously anybody who really knows me knows that this will not be a surprise. But my number 1 record was released on January 24th, 1995. So just correct into 1995. And speaking of underrated albums, at least to me, this was the final album by this band to feature Sammy Hagar on lead vocals. It is Balance by Van Halen. Do you have that on your list?
No, mine is Shania Twain, The Woman in Me. But it was, I mean, if you really listen closely, it's almost the same album.
That's fantastic. Oh my God.
No, of course. Yes, I have Balance on here.
That dude, this album is so great. And I mean, it's kind of shitty because like now, as the years have passed, like, everything about it and, the circumstances the band were under at the time. So it's like, you can kind of hear the dysfunction if it's, when you play this back to back with 5150, it's definitely, one's the sound of a band getting started and one's the sound of a band splintering. And even still, I mean, Eddie Van Halen's guitar tone on this is just absolutely enormous. I just can't say enough about this record. I mean, Eddie is such a great songwriter, and Seventh Seal, and Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do, Amsterdam, Aftershock, even, I mean, Big Fat Money is a classic Van Halen boogie, and Feeling at the end is, God, this whole record just is so killer. And even the instrumental Baluch Ethereum it's so catchy. And God, I get into arguments with people all the time, like even people that like the Sammy era, and they're like, "Oh, that record's not good." I'm like, "Dude, what are you listening to? Like, that record is so good. Like, it's just incredible." And I'm I am just okay. Gibson Les Paul says "Never Enough" is an underrated song. Well, we're not talking about Octavarium though, Gibson Les Paul. You think
Or
Are you-
LA Guns.
are you Gibson? Are you talking about "Not Enough" the Van Halen
Yeah,
tune, or
Not
are you
Enough.
actually talking about "Never Enough" on Octavarium?
That's the piano one, right? Not enough.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love that song, man.
yeah.
That's a good one.
It's dude. It's just. I mean, God, Eddie. There. And no one really talks about some of the riffs that he's doing. Like, if you ever watch the solo that he's playing during Amsterdam, like he says, yeah, not enough. I was close. But he's doing like at the beginning, it's like this huge spread, and it's like it's this weird thing that he's doing, and I mean, there's just so much to this album, and I'm probably a little biased to this one because like I'd never seen Van Halen before, and when this came out, I was a month shy of turning 19, and I was allowed to go to concerts finally, and I knew they were going to tour on this. I was like, holy shit, I'm going to see Van Halen live. So whenever I hear this record, especially Seventh Seal, that's the very first song, that I ever saw them play live. So that was the opener for that first show I saw. Every time I hear it, I just picture that explosion of light, and then seeing Eddie Van Halen on stage for the first time, and just my mind going, "Holy crap, I'm here!" But yeah, I mean, even stuff like "Deja Vu" no one ever talks about that song, and there's so many great songs that no one ever gets into. What are your thoughts on Balance?
So, were you at the Blossom show? Same one I was at, or no?
I went to 3 shows on that one. I went to the Q, I went to Blossom, and I also went to Polaris Amphitheater in Columbus.
Nice. So I was at the Blossom. That's the first and only time I've ever got to see Eddie and Van Halen, obviously. Yeah, when this album came out, I thought it was kind of okay. It's really grown on me over time, and I don't know if that's not so much since Eddie passed, because I was into it more before then, but I just can't. You really sort of sit down and listen to it, and you just appreciate it more for what it is, like the riffs are great, the production's awesome. Seventh Seal is a just killer opener song. I mean, I think this is Sammy. I mean, I don't know if he's ever sounded bad on an album, but this is him probably literally at the top of his game. Never what was it? Take Me Back. I love that song.
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
God, it's so I love that tune. It's so catchy.
Crank them down in the summer, just a feel good song, like, I don't know. It just really takes you back to your childhoods.
I think that's what's cool about this record, dude, is that like it has different flavors to it. The other Van Halen stuff is pretty much you get what you get. This one's kind of got the light and the dark, which you don't really get that on a Van Halen record, which I think sets this one apart and makes it interesting. It's definitely kind of an outlier in the catalog for that reason, especially the Sammy stuff. Because you always pretty much had that, 5150 was up, and OU812 was like a little more serious, but still up. And then, For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge was just straight ahead rocking the whole time. But this one's got, some shade to it. And, you go from stuff like, Deja Vu, Take Me Back, and Can't Stop Loving You to, Feeling and Don't Tell Me What Love Can Do, and, things like that. And it's, it's very up and down in terms of the mood.
Yeah, if this whole album was Amsterdam Big Fat Money, then you'd be like, okay, this is kind of overkill and still stupid. You know what I mean? Like, but it's not. Like those. Yeah. You have all the other stuff that balances it out, and no pun intended there. Actually,
yeah, of course.
But and I wonder if that's why they even picked that. Like, hey, we kind of like to write these different types of things, and we have these different kinds of moods, and So yeah, it's crazy to think that this is, I mean, we can argue about different kind of truth all we want, but to me, this is the last truly great Van Halen album where, it's just a lot of great performances all over it, and it's crazy to think that we never really got anything since then. It's kind of sad in a way.
Yeah, I mean, all you had was Van Halen 3, the 3 new songs on the Best of Both Worlds compilation. You had the 2 Roth songs on the Greatest Hits record in '96, and then A Different Kind of Truth, and that was all. So, I mean, you're not wrong in saying it's like the last great Van Halen record, but
Right.
I guess it's like, and I'm not saying this because like look what you have to compare it to. It's not that.
Right.
It's, but it is kind of funny to say it because you really got pretty much nothing after that. So, I agree with you. It was criminal. I always wish that Eddie would had been able to get through like one last tour, because like Sammy can still bring it. And Eddie, once he sobered up and everything, was just absolutely blazing every time I saw him. And just to hear these songs again with those guys actually getting along, and Eddie, hitting on all cylinders would just have been absolutely unbelievable. And, that kitchen sink tour that they talked about was, I mean, that would have been hilarious. I don't know how they would have pulled that off, but I just, man, I argue about Van Halen all the time with the Roth fans to just completely shit on the Sammy era, which drives me bonkers. And I would have loved to see that tour because Sammy would have wiped the floor with David Lee Roth. I mean, it wouldn't have been a contest.
Did you see the video of David Lee Roth dancing to?
Yes. Oh my God, what the hell was that?
Now, first of all, full disclosure, I had never heard a Kendrick Lamar song before in my life, so I've heard one now, and I'm good. No offense.
I'm with you. Yeah.
I didn't mind the music at all, but lyrically kind of left a little bit to the imagination.
Well, and the best is like the Roth honks are out in force. Oh, Dave's at it again. Oh, witty Dave, he's so great. Like, no, it looks stupid. It looks terrible. Shut up. It's not great. Like, just cut it out.
Yeah, but again, talking about him, that's all he cares about, I think. Good or bad, honestly.
I hate it.
CMS Network, is that Chris or is that us doing that?
Yeah, this is Aiken, and I don't know why he's giving his opinion. He's not allowed to give his opinion. He was already supposed to be on here giving 8 opinions, and he's laid up. But yeah, he says Down Nola is better than Balance, which is great too. He says, I never really got into the Down thing, but I'm not into that like slower, sludgier kind of stoner metal-y sound. Did you get into Down at all?
So I think they did 3, or did they do a 4th? I think I have 1 and 2. Yeah, this is one of those where I'm not sure if it holds up or if I ever liked it all that much. Like, I feel like I liked the first maybe 2-3 songs, but I'm going back to a lot of these albums that year came out, and I'm like, listen to them, like, it's just not song to song. Like, I can't wait till the next song, and then it's over crap. You know what I mean? And this is another one of those to me. Like, I thought it was cool. I really enjoyed like Pepper Keenan's guitar playing and stuff. I think it mixed good with what Phil was doing and stuff. But I don't know that pound for pound there was, I don't know how many songs are on there, 10 or whatever. Maybe there was 5. I thought it should have. You probably stopped at. Just me personally.
For me, it's like when I heard Phil Anselmo, I was like, "You're supposed to be singing for Pantera. That's what you're supposed to be doing," and it just sounded weird to not have him doing that. So I was like, "No, okay."
I guess it's better than Damage Plan. I don't know, but I don't know if that's saying that necessarily. It's probably close.
That man, I'm glad you brought that up, because it's an interesting thing to talk about for a second, as long as Pantera is on the table. That really was kind of a disappointing record, wasn't it? Like, the production wasn't good, and I mean, the songs are pretty cool, but it was just, man, oh man, I was hoping for something a little better with that Damage Plan record. I was like, maybe I was just heartbroken over Pantera. And so I've gone back many times and tried to listen to it with a fresh ear, and I come away with the same opinion every time. There's a couple awesome songs and everything, but I just really wish the production would have been, fatter. It's very thin, and I a lot of times I wonder if that wasn't like more demos that was kind of rushed out as a full album.
Yeah,
because it just doesn't have the power of even like a weaker sounding Pantera record. It just isn't there.
Yeah, for me, that one and Reinventing the Steel never did much for me. I don't know. I thought those were kind of letdowns, but just out of curiosity, I decided to double check on Down. So 12 songs, 56 minutes, going through the. Yeah, I think 5, 6 maybe at the top, at the most. 12 was too many for me for what they were doing at least.
That does seem to be kind of a thing. It's kind of like the new Metallica record. Like they put out 2 songs and they're like 5 minutes a piece. You're like, oh, sweet. And yet they said the record's like 77 minutes long or 72.
Dude,
So basically you've got 10 songs left at over an hour. And you're like, oh boy.
10 more
and-
recycled Motorhead riffs. Cool.
Ugh. Yeah. Well, dude, you know what though? At least it rocks. I mean, I like those 2 new songs. I mean, I'm not optimistic, because I mean, I hate it, but I can't listen to that band without thinking about how mad I am at Lars Ulrich and the whole sellout thing. I don't know why. There's no other band like that for me.
They've lost their heaviness, and I don't think they can get it back. I don't know. There's those songs are more 70-ish than they are like metal-ish. And they can't get their metal back. That's what to me sucks the most.
Yeah, but see,
do you blame
Dude,
Lars for that? A lot of that or no?
I blame Lars for everything.
Hey, Lars, this is your fault.
Yeah, I mean, even things that aren't even musical are his fault. That stupid little Danish turd. I hate him. Oh God. Ugh. Yeah, Gibson Les Paul's with you. He says Lux Eternal is a really bad version of Motorhead's Fight.
It just like I understand. Like I think you're doing what I used to do sometimes. Like you're forcing yourself to like it just because you're sick of hating everything that they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, and I understand it, but I think it's a subconscious thing to be like, well, it's not terrible. It's like, yeah, but this is Metallica. Come on, man. We've set a higher bar than this, haven't we?
Yeah, but I mean, I actually do like the 2 new songs. Like when I listen to them, I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. Like, but I mean, I Metallica for me is more of like an album band, because when you think about Metallica, you talk about it in terms of the first 5 records, and you talk about the record. You're not like, oh yeah, there's like half of Kill 'Em All's good, the rest is crap. Like a quarter of Red. No, it's like you can start at Hit the Lights and go all the way through to The Struggle Within, and you're not skipping. Like that is what Metallica is to me. So like liking a few songs doesn't mean that I'm up its ass or anything like that. And I just think at least on record, Hetfield still sounds like Hetfield to me. The riffs are cool. Lars again, Robert Reams, he's in on that too. He says, yeah, Lars is just bad. I mentioned it before. I like Death Magnetic. I mean, yeah, Death Magnetic's cool. Okay. I think the last 2 are stronger, but yeah, I mean, think of how many bands that we are into that when they get older release just stuff that's completely forgettable. Like you couldn't even give a crap. And Metallica it's listenable, and
but I think you're right. It's listenable, but I also think it's forgettable because after you hear those songs 10, 20 minutes later, do you remember anything about them? I don't. And I'm not even just saying that. I'm just flat out stating fact. Like I heard a riff that was like, it just, I don't know. There's an it factor that's missing.
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you at all. I mean, it's so difficult because like Megadeth is like in the same boat, but Megadeth stuff is at least it's not as hooky as even the metal, like the really metal stuff at the beginning, or but it's definitely not as hooky like stuff like like Countdown to Extinction or Cryptic Writings or Euthanasia and stuff. But right. It's definitely thrashy, and the last 2 records are really kind of back to a more classic Megadeth sound. Anthrax is putting out phenomenal stuff. Testament, their stuff is still solid. So I don't know if it's like we're just so stuck on those classic records that these just don't land, or if they're actually just not good. I still don't know, but I will say I completely agree with you. Bring up an excellent point saying that 20 minutes later you're not remembering anything. Like for example, on Death Magnetic, I went to listen to that the other day because I'll be doing Adam Rishog's show next week, and we're doing a fantasy draft of Metallica tunes. And I was like, all right, I got to go back and listen to like Death Magnetic, and I remember All Nightmare Long. And then I remember like one part of Judas Kiss. Yep. And the rest I was like, oh yeah, this song. Oh yeah, this song. Oh yeah. Yep. and Hardwired is kind of the same.
I think Hardwired is exactly like that, because I remember when that first came out, I think the first 3 songs, like, oh my god, these are so good, and then like, wait a minute, are they?
Yeah.
Whereas like with the new Megadeth, I was like, when this came, I was like, this is pretty good. I don't know, but then the more I listened to it, I'm like, yeah, this is really good. But the more I listen to new Metallica, I can't, even going back to Death Magnetic or the last one. I don't know. It just, like you said, I guess we'll agree on, listenable and forgettable, two different things,
Yeah. No, I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, unless you're really into a band, like, I really like the new Anthrax record, For All Kings. It's, there's a lot of stuff on there that's memorable to me. Obviously Dream Theater for us, and we're super fans, so we're going to be into that. But I don't know. I again, Lars Ulrich just kills it for me. I would love to hear that stuff with, with proper drumming. It's like, I think I mentioned this before on the show, but there's a guy that on YouTube, he's done stuff like, what if, Master of Puppets was on And Justice for All, or, what if this, and he did, one of them was, what if Moth into Flame was on And Justice for All? And then some other guy actually put, like, he basically kind of mimicked the Hetfield vocal as if it was kind of like back in the day. Yep. And this guy nails the tones. I mean, identically. And then I just found the other day, somebody else took their compilation and put it to footage from the 1989 Seattle show and made it look like they were playing it. And I'm like, oh my God, yeah, that if Lars was playing like metal drums, this song really would fit like on Justice. It's crazy, but Lars does this damn oversimplified thing. It's like, cut it out. Like, it's just, you're not AC/DC, for fuck's sake. Like, play metal drums. Enough is enough. It's the one thing I will say about the new songs, again, I probably mentioned this before, but at least they put the guy on a grid, so it sounds tight instead of that loose garbage. Gibson Les Paul, by the way, I agree with him on this because I heard this on the Classic Metal Show. He says the new Overkill song, The Surgeon, is a banger. Have you heard it?
I have. This is another band. The last couple albums, they have a lot of these 6.5, almost sometimes into 7-minute songs. I think this song is over 6. We can chop out about 1.5 minutes, and these songs would be even better.
Yeah.
Blitz always sounds great. Overkill. Other thing for me is, like, I hear like sort of the metal chord progressions a lot of times. I don't necessarily hear the super memorable riffs.
Yeah.
But they're a classic band that's kind of stuck to their formula and never really strayed. And I do respect, like, hey, this is what we do. We do this better than anybody the way we do this. So why should we kind of try to do anything too different? But I respect it for sure.
So Aiken says, the CMS Network, Hardwired is half great. Now That We're Dead is the best song since the Black Album. That's a damn good song. I don't know if it's the best one since the Black Album, but that's damn sure up there. And I agree with him completely. Hardwired is like half crap. And I really think that that's what we're going to get with 72 Summers, which, by the way, you were talking about earlier, what a stupid album title, like The Gang's All Here. Can we just say, like, 72 Summers, like, or 72 Seasons, excuse me? Can we just say what a dumb album title that is?
What was didn't they say what was the reasoning behind that?
72 Seasons is the first. It's like the first 18 years of your life.
Okay.
4 seasons per year, whatever, like that. And it's like, that's when you do the most growth, or something like that. I don't know. It's that damn new school James Hetfield, I'm all introspective and have been to therapy crap. It's like that's another thing, and Aiken talks about this a lot, and he's right. This Papa Hetfield thing and this grandpa thing, like, hey friends, like, oh, it's good to see families here. Like, no, dude, no, just can you please go develop an alcohol problem again? And just, like, I know I'm being facetious, so anybody gets offended by that, I apologize, but, like, just, dude, drunken, angry Hetfield was the definition of Metallica, and seeing him trying to be like, the friendly grandpa is like, oh my God, what the hell are you doing?
Plus, if he's drunk and angry, there's a better chance he'll go kick Lars' ass.
Right?
Everyone wants to see on stage.
Yep.
Plant that little elf inside his bass drum. Like,
all I know is like when I was reading Scott Ian's biography and he was talking about that tour they did in '86 that he actually was privy to conversations where he was thinking that there was a reasonable chance that Cliff and James were going to fire Lars, and I'm like, oh God, that's stupid. But like if you had a DeLorean, would you go? If you had a DeLorean, wouldn't you go back and like just like I don't know, throw salt on the road so that Cliff didn't have to go anywhere, or like do something with that driver so that maybe the firing of Lars could have become a reality. Like, Cliff Burton wouldn't die. Like, I don't know. It's very dark, but
Right.
Yeah. Hey, Gibson Les Paul, good point. Says, how much you want to bet Lars doesn't play the double kicks in Lux Eterna live? He doesn't have the stamina or accuracy to pull it off. Yeah. And Aiken, yeah, he says Hetfield crying on stage is all you need to know to define the end of them.
Can't we all just get along?
Yeah. It's like if you want to get into your feelings and stuff, if you're on stage and you're a band, okay, I get it. But not when you're Hetfield, bro. Like that's not I mean, oh God.
So I want to talk about this real quick before we wrap up.
Sure.
Two quick things. So the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame new nominations are out. I'm still annoyed that Metallica allowed themselves to be voted in before Maiden and Priest. Because without those two bands, there is no Metallica. I thought that was totally lame.
You're not wrong.
Okay. So we finally got Priest in, right, off of the so-called fan vote.
I don't think they're even in, are they? It's some special category or something? Like contribution. It's not even like, hey, it's like, you're alongside, don't get me started.
Maiden is dead last, I guess, in this new. I mean, the stuff they are trying to. Did you see did you see the mission statement they came out with? Now, if you have a Hall of Fame,
I haven't.
If you have a Hall of Fame and you have to have a air quotes mission statement,
right?
It was this diatribe about like, well, rock and roll is about rebellion and it's about this and it's about this and this and this. So in other words, this is your way of saying we're never going to let in like the biggest rock and metal bands of all time, which is what you think would go in first. No.
Yeah.
They're going to shove all this other crap down our throats. Which
yeah,
fine. If you want to have an R&B rap Hall of Fame, that's killer. Or a pop Hall of Fame, or just call it the Music Hall of Fame, but don't call it the Rock Hall. And Maiden is still not in there. Like
how? Dude, I'm looking at it right now. I mean, how in the hell? Okay, Kate Bush. What in the hell is rock and roll about her? Sheryl Crow, Missy Elliott. Like, I mean, what is that? George Michael it's pop. Willie Nelson is country.
Yeah,
I mean,
they want to get. He's already in the Country Hall of Fame, and so is Dolly Parton. Like, I don't know why they had to put those two over there, but so that's my diatribe on that. I don't want to go forever on this, so let's skip real quick to the Grammys. So,
oh, do we have to? That's the Grammys is pretty much.
Now, I full disclosure, there's no way I could sit through 5 minutes of watching, so I didn't even try.
I don't care.
But so we finally give Ozzy the Mercy Grammy, the guy does Diary of a Madman, Ultimate Sin, Blizzard of Oz, No More. It's some of the greatest metal stuff. And so this is finally, he's going to get a Grammy off of this. Like,
yeah,
off of this, I don't know, kind of barely passable swan song of an album. It's really not all that amazing. I don't even know what kept them alive to get through these songs, but it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, I looked up the winners and stuff, even just the categories. I'm like, what the hell?
Dude, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just thinking, like, I don't know who most of these people are. The hard rock and heavy metal thing, like Ozzy wins too. It's like, dude, come on.
So best metal performance, and saying performance when it comes to Ozzy anymore. First of all, like, so the nominees, some of the other ones, they had Megadeth, Will Be Back. That's not even like the fifth best song off of their new album. Like, I don't even know where they're coming up with the singles to put on there. Like Ghost, Call Me a Little Sunshine. That's a no-brainer.
I hate that band.
I love that band and that song, but it's like, Oh, we got to give one to Ozzy. You know, like I don't know. It's these. They just need to go away. Just stop with the Grammys. Stop with the Hall of Fame. Just be done with it.
I really got nothing because I can't agree more.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, like if you're thinking metal, okay, like okay, yeah, Ozzy, you know he's a metal guy, but Degradation Trip over We'll Be Back. I mean, We'll Be Back is like a thrashing song. That is, I love that tune. I will disagree with you. It's like not even one of the best 5 songs, but
well, they got Muse in there too for best metal, which I love the band Muse, but I don't know.
How is that metal?
Best metal performance.
Oh my God.
I have no idea what a turnstile is. Well, I do know what a turnstile is. I don't know what the band is. That was the other. So that was the 5.
Is this where one of us says your mom's a turnstile? I was waiting for it from you, man.
Best rock performance. So they had, I don't know if you saw this one of these latest Bryan Adams. I love Bryan Adams to death, but this new single is so horrible.
All right. So before we get out of here,
Uh-oh.
Chastity Crowley says, before you go, I have to stir the pot. And I said, uh-oh, is this more Octavarium hate? She said, I've listened to Octavarium like a dozen times, still no dice. So is this about Octavarium, Chastity, or how are we stirring the pot here? Because you got me kind of nervous. If it is the Octavarium thing, you're if you listen to it a dozen times and still no dice, you're still wrong. You're a dozen times wrong. But Brian, I'm telling you, I want to have that episode that Octavarium in the Octagon with Adam Rishog and Sean Faust and Chastity.
So she could just tell you again that she doesn't like it.
Well, she said she would try. Oh, yep, she says it is. All right, yeah, all right. So Chastity, for those of you who weren't tuned in, not Gibson Les Paul. By the way, Gibson, she's actually talking about the song Octavarium, not the entire record. But Gibson Les Paul says, at Chastity, Octavarium brought to you by Ambien. Boring album. Oh, man. Doesn't like Octavarium, doesn't like Falling into Infinity.
I can see the Ambien thing. There's definitely a sleepy quality to it.
I don't know about sleepy. I mean, it's definitely, I think, their lightest album, I would say, but I don't think it's
to the title track. To the title track for sure, I think.
All right. Well, all right, Chastity. Well, again, I really want to. It'd be Adam Rishog and Sean Faust in one corner and Chastity in the other. Octavarium in the Octagon. I love that title. I'm very proud of myself for that one. But well, all right, man. Well, let's get out of here. We were afraid we were going to have a short episode tonight, and yet here we are, long-winded as usual. So, thanks everybody for tuning in to another show tonight. Chastity, great to see you, man. All kinds of people. Aiken, Gibson, Les Paul, haven't seen you in a long time. Thanks for checking in. Adrian Schaller, we had Joseph Wren, Discuss Metal Joe, Chad Stevermer, Cale McLeish, Dan Russell. Man, the list goes on. Motley Crue Junkie, Kyle, Krav, all kinds of people. So thank you guys very much for tuning in. We hope you guys had a good time. I know I did. We will be right back here 2 weeks from tonight. It will be Thursday, February 23rd at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think I know what we're going to be talking about, but I might change it up, so we'll have to see. That is my birthday weekend, so I might change things up a little bit because I get to pick the topic. So I may battle Brian on a record that he doesn't like. So we'll see.
But, don't even. Please don't make it.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
I'll start writing my one-liners now if that's what we're doing.
Feel free, man. You know you can't find that record on the streaming services anymore. That's the only Van Halen record they pulled off. I have no idea what happened, so I got to research that and see what happened. Huh. There's a rights thing or something, but look at Gibson Les Paul. Awake deep dive again. We'll re-deep dive the records. You just want to hear me and Brian argue about Gorilla Farts and Space Dive Vest. That's all.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it, especially all you first timers. Thanks for catching the live show. I know some people said that they've been listening for a few months now. Thank you for that support. Again, we're here every other Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to click the like button, the subscribe button, hit that notification bell. There are going to be times that we go live on weekends if we get some interviews that we are working on with people overseas. So they have a different schedule. So we got to do those over the weekend. So you might have a special show. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And Brian, this was a good time. I'm glad that we both had the same best album of 1995. That was good. And, hopefully your dog stops biting you and you find some drugs to mellow him out, to trim his toenails so your hand doesn't look like you stuck it in a blender.
It's doing better. Yeah, I was surprised. We ended up with we had like 2 other crossovers I didn't think we were going to get in there, so that was cool.
Yeah. You as usual, you had some really cool picks. I was like, what the hell is that? So, the unpredictable nature of your musical taste is always interesting. So, I guess I will see you in 2 weeks, man.
All right, buddy.
And to the rest of you guys, thanks once again for all the support. We will see you on February 23rd at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until that time, Carpe Diem.